Welcome back to Politics Nation. President Donald Trump has repeatedly said he loves farmers, and he should. They're the heart of his base. But despite his many promises to make America great again by bringing down inflation and making things affordable, Trump's new tariff policy is hitting Americans, and particularly farmers, hard. It's hard for farmers for the cost of everything they use, from machinery to fertilizer, has been on the rise because most of it is imported. Add to that ICE raids, which are chipping away at their workforce made up of migrants. And now with new potential regulations coming down the pipeline, will the Heartland's president leave them out to dry? Joining me now is Teresa Romero, president of the United Farm Workers of America. Teresa, thank you for being with us. According to the USDA, over the past 20 years, more than 300,000 farms have closed down. That's why Trump's new tax policy is injecting $60 billion into the agricultural industries via subsidies. But how are these new tariffs affecting farmers?
Thank you for having me, Reverend. A pleasure to be here with you. The way it is affecting, the people that I serve are farm workers. And sometimes for them, it's a little difficult to evaluate how it would affect them. On one hand, it can help protect good union jobs in crops like tomatoes that compete with imports from countries with lower wages. But on the other hand, it can also lead to retaliatory tariffs that can hurt good union jobs, good producers, and industries like wine, where we produce to export. I think the bottom line is this. If President Trump is serious about reducing our resilience on foreign food and protecting America's food supply right here at home, then we need to protect the skilled, experienced farm workers who make our agriculture industry possible. That means he needs to stop the raids right now, or Americans will become more reliant on importing even more and more expensive food.
Now, let's go there, because Trump recently had an interview where he said he's considering a program where undocumented migrants can work here legally. But then he continued on to say this.
These people, you can't replace them very easily. People that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They're just not doing that work. And they've tried, we've tried, everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. I said, what happens if they get it to a farmer the other day? What happens if they get a bad back? He said, they don't get a bad back, sir, because if they get a bad back, they die.
These comments are concerning, to say the least, fully displaying Trump's ethnic stereotypes. But doesn't a guest farm worker program executed under the Trump administration, who hasn't been shy in saying immigrants are poisoning the blood of the nation, could lead to some kind of indentured servitude for these workers?
Absolutely. Farm workers, as it is right now, those who don't have any union representation don't have a voice. They accept everything and anything the employer does. A program, which is something similar like the H-2A program, where they bring workers from other countries, they control their visa, they control their employment, they control their housing. And that means that anytime a worker says, you didn't pay me my entire week, the employers, and we've seen it before, they just say, I'm going to send you back and I'm going to bring you next year. So, yes, it is going to create a program that is going to hurt farm workers, what he wants to do is deport and replace. And it doesn't make sense. We have a workforce here that is experienced, that have been doing, they're professionals. They have been doing it for decades, and there is no reason to change that. If we want to continue having an agriculture, successful and flourishing agriculture in this country, we need to make sure that this workforce that is here right now continues to do it.
Now, sticking with these comments is just another example of how this administration is trying to sow division between Black and Latino workers. But civil rights and the plights of farmers have always been intertwined. Let's not forget that Cesar Chavez was inspired by leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., and he went on to co-found the United Farm Workers, using nonviolent tactics like boycotts and strikes to advocate for better wages, working conditions, and the right to unionize for farm workers. This is why what Trump is doing is so troubling. Unfortunately, so many don't know that history. Do you think Trump's tactics are working?
I think they are working because they're intimidating a lot of people that we don't know where we're going to go next time. Unfortunately, he makes comments in social media on an interview, and that is not policymaking. That is not legislating. When he makes comments like that, we know that the next day he's going to take him back and do and say something different. I think we need to be serious about the importance of having a domestic agricultural industry, and we need to make sure that people who have the experience are doing it. Civil rights is something that, like you said, Cesar Chavez learned the nonviolent way of doing it with Dr. Martin Luther King, and we continue to do it to this day. But we need to continue also fighting for the people that are putting food on our tables. Remember, during the pandemic, he considered farm workers essential workers because they needed to work. Many paid with their lives. And now the workforce is the same percentage of our documented people, and now he's treating them as if they were disposable. It's not right.
Now, before I let you go, Trump's policies show a clear favoritism toward the employer over the laborer. What would a fair and equitable system for our farm workers look like?
You know, Reverend, right now, farm workers have a disadvantage on everything that they do. Like, as you probably know, farm workers only have labor rights in 2 states, California and New York. So on the 60 years of our existence, we have done everything we can to improve the lives of farm workers. But the problem is that they don't even have labor rights. What he wants to do with this GEST program is remove all the protections, pay them $2 or $3 above the minimum wage. Now, we need to remember, some states don't have state minimum wage. So it is $725 an hour because that's the federal minimum wage. It is just not possible. People cannot live and support a family without those wages.
Teresa Romero, President of the United Farm Workers of America, thank you for being with us.